A couple of months ago, I bought my dream property here in the jungle of Colombia. I bought 3 hectares, which is around 7.5 acres or 30,000 squared meters. I paid 300,000 Danish kroner or 180 million Colombian pesos, which is around 40,000 American euro-ish. This is a dream come true for me that I've had for many years. It's something that I really started thinking about when I was a teenager actually. In my young adult life, I've been spending a lot of time just working and trying to save up money to finally achieve this dream. So sitting here and talking about my property is already a dream come true. But anyways, this place is located in North Colombia in the mountains-ish. It's about 350 meters altitude and it's close to the Caribbean coast as well. It's always been a big dream of mine to buy a property, build my own home, cultivate my own food, have my own chickens, have my own dairy cow maybe one day. Just the self-sufficiency and the closeness to nature is something that I have desired for a long time, and I've always been a guy that really loves nature and spends a lot of time outdoors and stuff like that, camping and whatnot. But this is kind of the ultimate goal for me, was to, really be able to live in nature, not just go into nature when I want to have a good time, but really feel like I live one-on-one with, this climate that is here. So let me tell you guys some more stuff about the land. So obviously I have my own natural jungle stream. That is just such an essential part of this property for many reasons. Obviously, it provides me with free drinking water, and it's actually year-round, meaning that even in the dry season, this stream runs constantly. So I have free drinking water, and I also have the water for use of my plants and trees and crops. Because of this stream follows up into the mountain pretty much along the length of my property. I probably have this stream on my property for 500 meters, so I can draw water by just the use of gravity, of course. Thank you, Sir Isaac Newton, for that. And just draw water by the use of gravity into my garden and use it for my trees and whatnot when the dry season is going. But other than that, you can also see that with this stream comes a really nice protected area of old growth native jungle. That is actually because of the stream that there is still being maintained like hundreds of years old trees, because normally when they sell property, they will just burn down all of the jungle and then they will obviously use it for cultivation or for growing fruit trees or whatnot. But even sometimes they'll just burn it down just because they want to sell it. So there even is some parts of my property where it's deforested, but they haven't even cultivated it. And that's because for them, they see it as being easier to communicate the value of the property, because most people will buy land like this to cultivate, fruits or whatnot. So they see it as a profitable choice to burn everything down, which is really unfortunate. So pretty much the only reason that this really old jungle behind me here hasn't been burned down or deforested is because they normally don't do it right around the stream. So basically this natural river, due to flooding and just whatnot, has been protected from deforestation, which is amazing. For the parts that haven't, I do intend to actively try to grow the native jungle into the parts that have been deforested as well, to try to kind of just bring the jungle together, because my property is kind of a strip of cultivated land that runs into the jungle. So for example, monkeys and stuff, they can't cross over that because there's no old growth trees. So I do intend to plant native trees as well, but also fruit trees and stuff like that to provide just sustenance for me and my future family. So let me show you the more cultivated parts of the property, because I think that's really cool as well. Even though I'm talking about deforestation as a bad thing, and it obviously is, I do very much enjoy the fact that I bought a property that already has tons of fruit trees and stuff like that, because obviously it's all about balance, right? If you want to live somewhere, you can't have it being 100% jungle because there's nothing to feed you. So you need to find some kind of balance between having as much native growth as possible and giving back to the species and to the land, but also having enough to feed you and your family and your friends and whoever you want living on your land. So let me show you the cultivated parts where I have my fruit trees and stuff. Here behind me you see the more farming area of the property, and actually right now it's pretty thin, it's not that dense. I'm definitely gonna fill it out a bunch more with fruit trees and stuff like that. As you can see as well, You can tell at the bottom of the screen I also have actually another stream as well, but this one I would not drink from because it runs both through the road further up, so people cross it with their motorcycles and their horses and mules and stuff like that, and also it runs by other people's properties as well. So this one is not, probably nothing would happen, but I definitely wouldn't drink from it. Also, because this is like the entrance of my property, so this is at the very lowest point basically, so that also means I can't really use this water for much unless I got an actual pump, because it's at the bottom, so I can't really use gravity to pull it anywhere. But that's fine, it's not really an issue because I have two, and the other one has much more water volume as well and much more elevation, so it's just much easier to use, it's cleaner, it's just better. So this one is a nice little feature, but it doesn't really have any practical use. Behind me is obviously, you can't see the whole thing, but this is part of the farming area where I have tons of orange trees, you know, banana trees, plantains, avocados, soursop, sugarcane, passion fruit, coconuts, tons of coconuts. I have probably I have exactly 7 coconut palms. And the fruit that I have the most of actually is avocados. I have 10 massive avocado trees that are ripe and actually like mature and producing. And I probably have 20 more avocado trees that just aren't mature yet. The fun thing about the avocado trees actually are, they're not really in this area here in the cultivated area. They're more in the back of the property in the jungle part. When I'm picking avocados here, I have to go for quite a bit of walk to get all of them, but that's completely fine, I enjoy it. But yeah, here is a little part of the farm, and you saw my stream as well. Another amazing commodity the property has is this field of trees that have been planted just for the use of construction. And these are the trees as well that I use for my foundation. I'm gonna use them for my roofing poles, and I'm gonna have tons of stuff in the future I can use it for. So this is actually like a really valuable commodity, and it's gonna save me a lot of money in future construction projects. And it's also gonna mean that my cabin build is gonna be extremely cheap. This isn't actually the only part of the property that is usable for construction. I'm going to show you some other parts as well that I can use for my building projects. I'm standing at the border of my property where it meets my stream, which is about 500 meters from where my property begins at the road. And behind me is a bamboo groove. And this one, I actually have 3 of them on my property, but this one is by far the oldest and thickest and just most extreme. I mean, I'm going to show you some other videos as well, but this thing is really, really impressive and has tons of potential to use for construction. I'm not 100% sure whether or not that bamboo is like good for weight bearing in construction. Some people have told me that it is, but I'm not sure yet. But even if it isn't, it still has so many appliances. And like I said, this isn't even the only one, so I have more bamboo than I could ever use, most likely, I imagine. So yeah, and I'm also going to be using bamboo as well for my cabin project. I'm going to try to be using it to make the walls actually. Just adds a nice aesthetic, it's free, and yeah, it looks really cool. So there you go. I'm still here by my bamboo forest to show you some of the other construction materials I also have here. And this is something people might not think about, but sand, especially this type of sand right here, is really good to use if you want to make concrete. And I used it for my foundations. And also all of these rocks. I mean, if you pick enough small rocks like this, and pretty much just rocks are super useful as well for construction, especially if you're working with any sort of concrete. I use them to fill out my foundation, so I had to use as little bit of concrete as for example, I use these rocks not just to give my foundations more structure, but also just to fill it out, which meant that I didn't have to use much concrete. And that's definitely one of the reasons I was able to get away with just buying 1 bag of concrete. So all of this sand and rocks, I mean, this is really useful. People pay for this stuff like on their property because not everybody has this. But yeah, that's something people might not think about. And something else that's really cool is here in the jungle part of the property, I've observed so far 3 different species of monkeys. And funnily enough, the one that I've seen the most times is extremely rare. It's actually one of the most endangered monkeys in the world. It's called and one of the coolest things probably one of my favorite things as well about the property is that here on the jungle part, I get tons of monkeys. I've already observed 3 different species species, and actually the one I've seen the most is the cotton-top tamarin, which is one of the world's smallest primates. And the cotton-top tamarin is actually extremely critically endangered. There's only around 1,000 families left in the wild, and they all live where I live. And the craziest thing is that the cotton-top tamarin, which is the monkey that I see the most here, it's one of the smallest primates in the world, and it's also one of the rarest. It only resides here in this part of North Colombia, and even here it's extremely rare. There's only 1,000 families left in the wild, and one of them I've seen here on my property 4 times now, which is extremely extraordinary. I know people who've lived here for a long time and never seen this monkey species ever. So it's really an amazing thing that this is a habitat for one of the rarest monkeys in the world. And the other 2 species that I have here is the Santa Marta capuchin, and that is actually also endemic to this area, which means you can't find it anywhere else in the world in this part in North Colombia. And then the red howler monkey, which is very common. The 2 others are quite rare, especially obviously the tamarin, but the howler monkey is a very common monkey here in the area, and people see it and especially hear it all the time. It has a very brutal call that it makes to, you know, kind of reinstate its own territory, and it's very violent and kind of a bloodthirsty sound, but if you're not scared of it, you kind of get to enjoy it at one point, and it's very cool. I think all in all, the summary of the video is that I spent my life savings on a property in Colombia, and you know, I might be the poorest I've ever been, but I'm definitely the most excited and the most passionate. You know, it feels amazing to have like a personal project that I just feel so strongly about. And you know, I'm just so excited to see what this property holds for me in the future. You know, I can just imagine me, you know, living off of the land here and living in coherence with the jungle and everything as I get old and get a family. So it's really an amazing feeling to have finally completed this goal. And now that I've completed the goal of buying the land, the next goal of course is to develop it. I want to turn it into, you know, what I've been envisioning in my dreams for the past 3 years, which is just kind of a jungle paradise, you know. And it's kind of hard for me to explain what exactly that's going to look like, because I probably don't know exactly yet, but I'm definitely going to be documenting it, all of it, here on my YouTube, on my social media. So if you guys are interested in this, please follow along, because I'm gonna be doing this for a long time, so for the rest of my life basically. So if you're interested, you can follow the progress basically from 0 to, you know, one day hopefully this will be like, yeah, from 0 to paradise. Not to say this is 0 right now, but right now it's just unlivable, you know. There's no amenities, there's no electricity, there's no roof to sleep under. So I really do think that it would be a good story from, you know, coming here, buying this place completely raw, and then developing it. But you know, when I say develop, it's very important for people to understand that I don't intend to cut down any jungle and start building crazy structures and anything like that. On the contrary, I want to grow the jungle, and I want to just, you know, find my space on the property where it's good for, you know, building and stuff like that, because this is a big place, you know. There's plenty of space for me and other people, and also for the native trees and the native species and stuff like that. So yeah, there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's gonna be it, and I'm gonna be continuing to make videos here on my YouTube. Robotron out.